Deadlock just released a massive new balance patch, and in this video we'll go over everything. The good, the bad, and the ugly. The 7 buffs, the capacitor nerfs, the curse buffs, the completely redesigned investments in spirit, vitality, and weapon, the new meta heroes, the new meta items, what is absolutely unusable, and much more in this video. Let's get right into it. It finally happened, guys. Valve just released the biggest balance update we had in the last 9 months. Massive changes to a lot of things, and we'll go over everything right now. I'll give you the biggest winners and losers of the patch, the biggest changes, and we'll get right into it. There's going to be lots of things to cover. First off, laning got changed completely. Now, when you last hit a creep, what happens is there's still a deniable soul that pops up that gives you the extra money, but there's also a second part of the soul that drops a little ball that you have to secure by getting within a radius of, like, I think it's 12 meters. And these souls will stay on the ground until you pick them up, which means you have to be kind of close to the souls to secure them. The enemy player won't be able to deny those souls that are on the ground. It just means that you have to be in the radius and you can't just soak freely behind a wall, okay? So the idea here by Valve is to make the laning more interactive, which, another change that will make the laning a lot more interactive, healing creeps don't heal you anymore. Instead, what happens now is, if you kill the enemy healing creep, they will drop a healing aura. And if you step closer to the healing aura, you will be healed for 10% of your max HP plus another 75. So right now on level 1 I got 160 healing of just killing a single healing creep. Which means you need to play the lane more aggressive. Gone are the days of just shoving the wave, and I'm sure the game is going to feel very different. But aggression really is your friend here, and making use of the enemy troopers when you can, right? To get the healing. So really good changes so far. Interaction-wise, I really like this a lot more than just the brain dead shoving the wave. But there's a lot more. Lots of changes. Again, I'll cover the main things that really will change. Starting bounty is a bit higher. You can now buy your first item right after killing the first wave, assuming you hit all the creeps correctly. And trooper value also got increased by 10%, which means you get more money from troopers, which I welcome. It's always a good change to get more money from troopers. You should encourage players. I always say this, troopers are the most important for map control. Killing them is the most important. So I really like this change. If you notice in game, they also changed the position of your model, you know, a bit more zoomed out. It seems a bit weird to me, and like it seems very far away. I will definitely have to get used to it. I'll have to play more games to figure out if I like this change or not. There's an option you can do. You can change your FOV manually if you don't like it, but it's an interesting change. I don't really mind it. Neutral bounty got increased by 10%, but they also increased the damage basically and the HP that all the neutrals have, which means neutrals will be a bit harder to farm. You will take more damage from them. So I would consider this overall a jungle nerf. The only people that really benefit from this a lot are hard carries that are really good at clearing jungle, like Seven, like Wraith, Infernus, maybe Victor, right? So this is definitely a bit of a nerf to jungle overall, I want to say. Yeah, Sinner Sacrifices also nerfed quite hard, which makes sense. These were the best source of souls at 8 minutes, other than link creeps with the buffs. You now take 80 damage every hit when you hit them. So, you know, that is an over 20, it's like basically, it's a 25% increase in the damage you take farming them, which is good in my opinion. They were too strong. So you get punished, there's more counterplay to you punishing people that farm sinners. Sprint and out of combat regen got nerfed a bit. It takes longer to kick in when you're fighting neutrals, so that's good. It's a nerf to, you know, all the out of combat regen. Out of combat regen was like a really good stat that people abused in the old meta. It was just one of the best stats to stay healthy early. Okay, and now we're getting into the juice. And this is going to be controversial. The damage of all ability upgrades got nerfed. That means spirit got nerfed basically across the board. Now this affects some characters more than others. For example, a character like Pocket basically got a nerf to every single one of his abilities. The damage of Barrage upgrades got nerfed by 10%, the damage of Cloak, the damage of a Satchel, and the damage of Affliction. But again, it also affects gun characters, because race damage, on the same page, the tier 2 upgrade for cards got nerfed, right? And the full auto damage got nerfed. But that means if a character has a lot of upgrades to spirit abilities, it will be a harder nerf than characters that rely more on their gun. So overall, I would consider this a gun buff, okay? And on top of that, the gun base damage and growth got increased for every single character but Page. Okay, so gun is going to feel stronger no matter what character you play. Now, characters that want to shoot their gun a lot benefit from this more, obviously, than Spirit Nukers, right? First change I don't really like, headshot multiplier got reduced, which means you get less value from hitting headshots. I don't like this. I think it discourages skill. I think headshots should always do a lot more damage than body shots. It's just skill expression. And another thing I don't like is that they keep on nerfing stamina a bit more. It's not the biggest deal. Wall jumps cost 0.25 stamina now, and this regen is a tiny bit lower, 5%. So I don't really like these changes, but overall, nerfs to Spirit and buffs to gun. Not massive, but should be noticeable. Which means like the two damage types will just be a bit more even, okay? I don't even want you to think of this as a nerf to Spirit Nukers. It's more so a change that will make the gun of everyone do a bit more damage in fights. So you have to make more smarter choices. And Spirit Resilience or Spirit Shielding will not be the #1 choice every single time now, okay? So this should put gun damage a bit more in line with Spirit damage. So it's a great change. Now at 4,800, there's a little mark you can see on the bottom left where you get an additional bonus on that threshold. For gun, this is an extra 20% weapon damage. So instead of 29, think of this as 49% weapon damage. On Vitality, you get another 12% health boost at 4,800. And on Spirit, you get another 20% Spirit power. And if you look at these stats, they look about even, but 20 Spirit power is a lot stronger than 20% weapon damage. Okay? And 12% bonus health is also a lot stronger, in my opinion, than 20% weapon damage. So I would say that Spirit and Vitality investments early on got even better compared to gun. Now, I get that this is probably to counteract the buffs to gun overall a bit, so we'll have to see how this plays out. I don't mind it. It might just turn out to be a bit too strong on Spirit, because getting to 4.8k Spirit early will give you a massive damage spike into early Spirit Nuke, but we'll see. So this is another really interesting change. To give you a TLDR of this, objectives are now, in general, a lot tankier. Side walkers have the same base HP as the mid walker now, and every walker has their HP increased by 40%. It's going to be a lot harder to push walkers, which means games in general in every rank will last a bit longer. Okay? Now, do I like this as a player? In Eternus right now, I'm used to like 20 to 30 minute matches. I know in lower ranks it's a bit longer. It's going to be interesting to see. I'll have to see. Like, I do think the side walkers were a bit too weak. The laning changes again, because you get more healing in lane if you kill the enemy healing creeps, the healing troopers. Laning should feel about even, but it will negate the super early stomps where you kill the enemy guardian super early. And it will also negate the super early stomps where you kill the enemy walker super early, because the damage resist decays to the first 20 minutes of the match, which means it takes you won't get, it's going to be very hard to kill a walker at 14 to 16 minutes. Whereas before it was pretty easy, right? So this is gonna kind of combat really one-sided matches, which means there's more comeback potential, which I like, okay? Base slots got changed. You now have 9 slots. So there's only 3 locked slots, and all those 3 locked slots now just unlock by just killing every walker. Every walker gives you 1 flex slot, and that's it. And I really like this change again, because it encourages comebacks a bit more. It gives you a bit more freedom with your build crafting. It's overall a really good change. It felt really weird that you had to kill all 3 walkers for the 3rd flex slot before, and it was just easier to get a set of base guardians a lot of the time. So really good change. And then, one of my favorite changes in this patch, Rejuve got nerfed. Okay, mid-boss got nerfed. The buffs it used to give you, that your entire team had, got removed. Okay, no more 10% HP, no more 15% fire rate and spirit amp. So it's not, mid-boss is not as strong anymore. The team that kills it gets 2 buffs per teammate, so it matters a bit more that you kill it, but overall nerfs to mid-boss, really welcome change as well. Mid-boss was game deciding, right? The team that got the first mid-boss almost always won in Eternus, and even in low rank, the team that got a mid-boss was very far ahead. It was just a bit too powerful of an objective, and this is definitely a step in the right direction. Some smaller changes to earn, doesn't matter much, in my opinion. Jump pads got a slight nerf, so a slight nerf to overall effectiveness of escaping, which is good. Some readjustments to buffs, I'll give you a TLDR of this. Survival buffs are a bit weaker early game. Movement and gun buffs are a bit stronger, which makes sense. Survival buff was very strong, was the strongest buff throughout the game, and movement buff was really bad, and gun buff was really bad. So good changes there as well. And now we're getting into the juice. This is where I'm going to talk a bit about my favorite picks. Lots of changes to heroes and items. Actually, items not that much. Really, only the massive outliers got nerfed a lot. So for example, Capacitor got nerfed to where it does not remove buffs, which means you can't use it against like a Surge 7 anymore or a Cube and just remove it. So Capacitor is a lot weaker. Still a great item because it now silences stamina usage and movement for the duration of the 4 seconds. It only lasts 4 now instead of 5. Still a good item, but not nearly as powerful anymore. So this was a big outlier that got nerfed. Otherwise, shieldings got nerfed across the board. I actually think they went too light on this. I think shieldings overall still are too good. Okay, it's harder to proc. The threshold is 50 more, so you will take more damage before they start proccing, so they're not as powerful. And the cooldown of all of them got increased as well, but I think they're still great choices, and only time will tell how good they are. I don't think they're bad. I think you still buy them if you want more survivability early. Very good item still. Otherwise, one item that got gutted was Silence Wave. Silence Wave now is a lot weaker because it doesn't reduce the enemy spirit and spirit resistance anymore. It does a bit of damage. There was a bug just now where it did way too much damage, but that got fixed. So it's worse than before. And it doesn't upgrade from Spirit Sap. Spirit Sap now upgrades into Focusing Lens, which is another change I really like because it's better. It has lower cooldown. And it gives basically the same effects as before, but that means that it's an easier path to Focusing Lens, and Focusing Lens now has the effects that Silence Wave used to have, which is it shreds the enemy spirit resist and it shreds the enemy spirit power. Okay, so it's an amazing item now. Not an amazing item, but definitely a lot better because it's easier to buy and you will see this a lot more in your games, for sure. Focusing Lens, first big winner in terms of items. Actually, the only item that is really a big winner because otherwise the changes to items are not that big, okay? What is big is changes to heroes. Holiday got hard nerfed in everything she does, okay? Her base powder keg does less damage. The level upgrade does less damage because of the spirit nerf. Her gun does less damage on base. And her scaling got nerfed, okay? By a lot. Plus her base regen in lane is 1. And they did this change to a lot of characters. And to a lot of new players or players that are not super versatile, this might not seem like a big change. But you have to understand, the main strength of a hero comes from the fact that they can win lane early on, right? I know there's a meme in lower rank where people are saying lane doesn't matter, but lane is the most important stage in the game. If you have a higher chance of winning the lane, that means you have a higher chance of getting into the mid game and late game stronger, and you will be stronger across the board. So you have to consider that nerfs to a character's lane are super impactful. And Holiday got a massive nerf to lane. And the same thing happened to Paradox, the other broken initiator that was a gun character also. Also, massive nerfs to base HP got reduced, base regen got reduced, bullet damage growth got reduced, and health per boon got reduced. Okay? And then there were another few nerfs. So Holiday and Paradox got absolutely gutted. And they were too strong in Eternus. So this is good. Pocket, slight nerfs. Also insane character. Also a Spirit Nuker. And the trend here really is that the Spirit Nukers got nerfed. So thank you, Yoshi. Yoshi, listen to me. I can take all the hate in my YouTube comments, but I think a lot of you will play this patch and realize it's not actually that bad, you know? It's not like gun carries got a lot better, other than Ivy, by the way, which Ivy was already considered the strongest gun character in the game, and overall, she actually got a bit better in terms of carrying. Yeah, she got a slight nerf to Katsu, but she gets more lifesteal from Watcher's Covenant, okay? And the spirit scaling of Katsu Bomb got increased, plus the Stone Form cooldown got reduced. So Ivy might be absolute S tier. Ivy is my first big winner this patch. She really benefits from all the changes in this patch because she already was a crazy gun carry. She's even better. Play Ivy, you will not regret it. This character is going to be absolute S tier, I can already tell you right now on day 1 of the patch. So Ivy, big winner of this patch. Small nerfs to Infernus, not the biggest deal. Buffs to also laners that were a bit weak early, okay? We're talking Dynamo. Dynamo got an increase to Kinetic Pulse, quite a significant one. Lower cooldown and more range, plus more regen in lane. So this helps out Dynamo. Same for Drifter. Drifter actually has now 3.5 base regen and got a rend buff cooldown. It's to be seen if this is going to make him meta. He was very weak before, especially in high rank. He's better, but I don't think he's going to be like broken Thanos. Dorman got a bit weaker in lane. Calico got a bit weaker in lane. For whatever reason, they buffed Billy. I swear I didn't pay Yoshi off. I don't know why they buffed Billy. Billy was insane before. He's even better now. In fact, they buffed the Rising Ram bonus weapon damage, which means Gun Billy is even better than before, which Gun Billy fell kind of out of the meta, but now he's definitely back and will make builds on upgraded builds on Billy. And this reminds me, this Spirit Snatch item got nerfed on quite a few heroes. So now the way it works is if you light melee, it only gives you 70% of the benefits, which means if you bought this on a character like Pocket, where you would do like one quick Spirit Snatch to shred them, right? It was really good. But on characters like Billy, this is actually a buff. Because on Billy, you will hit so many light hits that because the cooldown is now the same, it's even better on Billy, in my opinion. It's a crazy item still, and probably still crazy on most of the characters that ran it before. It's really only not as great on like characters like Pocket. Another big winner, and I swear I didn't pay Yoshi off here. This doesn't seem like a lot, okay? But Wraith got an increase to card damage, and Wraith got a buff to teleport cooldown. And now, if you don't know what that means, right, it doesn't seem like a lot. It's only 6 seconds shorter. But what this actually means is, if you run the Green Wraith, which video coming very soon, if you run the Metro Eraser Wraith, the cooldown on max teleport is now 14 seconds. Which means you can teleport in, get the overshield, right? And then you have it back after 14 seconds. And that is without any cooldown reduction. This is crazy, okay? So Wraith, a bit stronger in lane, and definitely more survivable in the mid game if you max teleport first, which I think is now 100% the way to go, because you can spam this ability to get around the map, get overshield, get in, get out. And that's, again, it's already a thing in my Eraser Wraith build. I'll update it too. But Wraith, a lot better now, okay? Yamato, also quite heavy nerfs in lane. Again, base regen got nerfed to 1.0. Power slash damage got nerfed unless you max charge it. On max charge, it still does the same damage, but on medium and low charge, it does less. And Crimson Slash cooldown increased by quite a lot, 11.5 to 15. And tier 3 is now a bit better. It doesn't matter. Yamato nerfs in lane. And overall, the trend of this patch is really to make the broken laners less broken, unless you Sinclair, which, yeah, he's a bit weaker in lane, but he got a crazy change. Okay, this is probably the most crazy buff in this patch. You can now swap with Spectral Assistant twice. And if you play Sinclair or you play against Sinclair, you know what this means, right? Sinclair used this tech where he would fight and then bait you, right? And then teleport out. But now he can double back again, twice, which means a good Sinclair will never die anymore, and a good Sinclair, like, this is so abusable. This is such a crazy change. I'm worried this is too strong, but we'll see. Okay, he is weaker in lane, so you gotta keep that in mind, right? But this is a crazy change, and it's definitely gonna make Sinclair's mid and late game a lot stronger. Kelvin. They finally started addressing the dome. They realized having a dome up every fight is not balanced, so they removed the cooldown of tier 2 completely and just made it last a bit longer, but it's also shorter on base. And he's less consistent with this gun. It shoots a lot slower, like the velocity is slower. And the base damage of frost grenades is also lower. So it's going to be less frustrating in lane. Another W change. This patch is really the best thing that happened to Deadlock in a long time. It's going to change the meta a lot. And in the next few days, weeks, we'll have new builds out and we'll have a new tier list out. I will have to play more to figure everything out. But overall impressions, this is really, really sick for the game. I really like what they've did to the laning dynamics overall. With, you know, like you having to play a bit more aggressive and you can't just like brain dead, like shove the wave and then shoot the tower. It is a refreshing thing to see them experimenting and being a bit more bold with changes. I'm sure some of these changes will turn out to be too good, right? And I'm sure some of these changes will maybe have made characters a bit too weak. But right now, first impressions, really, really strong. I would love to hear what you have to say in the comments. And I'll end with this one sad news. I know I started with 7 maybe being better again. And he is a bit stronger in lane again because he takes, again, less damage when you shoot his head, which was one of the big weaknesses he had. But otherwise, he just got a slight lightning ball radius increase. So I do want to say 7 is probably still pretty bad right now. I'll try to play him. and ball builds are, again, a tiny bit better again. But I think gun becomes stronger, which means 7 becomes weaker. 7 is very susceptible to gun damage, right? So, also Shiv is still OP. Shiv got some nerfs to like bonus damage on rage, but that's really all he got other than like slight nerfs to alt fire. And Shiv historically does really well in gun metas because Shiv loves to buy stuff like reactive barrier. So if we see more gun, Shiv is the tank to go to, right? So Shiv, I want to say, is actually a winner in this patch, and he was already really strong before. So I'm kind of scared of Shiv being absolute dominant S tier. So I'll say Shiv, insane. Ivy, insane. I didn't talk about Mina. She did get nerfs. I will have to see. Like, this is quite a big one where she can't use... after teleport, she can't use dash and the air jumps right again, right? So this sounds like a big nerf. It might be. But like she still does that ridiculous damage in lane, right? Laning really didn't get changed, which is the worrying thing about her. That is kind of the first thing that made her broken. So big winners, Ivy, Shiv, Wraith. Warden also gun buffs. Warden, decent winner. And big losers, the OP laners. Paradox, Holiday, Yamato, all weaker, right? Bebop, last thing I'm gonna show you. So now when you run a bomb Bebop, for my bomb Bebop enjoyers, okay, you now get a bonus, you get bonus movement speed when you stick someone, and it's 5 meters a second. Which means, if you use Echo Shard on your bomb, you can do this, and this is on base level. You stick, shard, and you have a ridiculous amount of movement speed. Now, it doesn't give you the 30% damage reduction on the enemy anymore, but I think this is overall a buff. Now, that being said, overall, otherwise, Bebop got nerfs to like his health, uppercut, etc. Okay, so we'll have to see how this plays out, but it's definitely a funny change, and I don't think Bebop is going to be out of the meta with this one. Amazing patch. Expect a lot more content in the coming days. I'll be streaming non-stop. Really excited for this, and yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. Until next time, see you friends. Bye-bye.